All right, kids, we're going to talk about weaving. You could do this with a lot of different things at your house. So paper is going to be the easiest thing to show you with. And why weaving? It's kind of challenging. It has to do with patterns, has to do with fabric, has to do with textiles, which is a fancy word for fabric and design. But it's really about you listening and paying attention and using some fine motor skills. If you look at any clothing, like if you look at your socks, or if you take like the edge of your shirt and stretch it out, you can see how you see that little crisscross pattern in there. So that's all little pieces of thread that have been woven together. So what I did is I just got 2 pieces of paper, and if you have lined paper, that would work fine. If you have shoelaces, ribbon, string, anything like that, but I feel like paper's pretty easy when you first start learning. I just made 2 papers look different so that you could easily understand the difference between the two. So you're going to start with the paper that you want to be your background paper and fold it in half. And we're going to make some lines on here to cut, but you want to make sure that you have the fold side. That's the side that you're going to start making your lines on. And then over on the edge of your paper, you want to leave like 3 of your fingers before you get to the edge of your paper. So I'm just going to make a little mark here, show where my 3 fingers are. And you can make these lines straight. If you want to change them up a little bit, like if you're a little bit older. My dog does not want me to change them up. You can weave them, you can make them zigzag, but keep in mind that whatever kind of line you make, you're going to have to cut it out. So if you go like all crazy, like a heartbeat line, that's not going to be fun to cut out. That's right. My dog does not like it. So then, have my folded side, and I'm going to cut those lines and stop when I get to the end. June, it's okay. She really hates weaving. And the mailman. So what we're making, this is called the loom, or sometimes it's called the warp because it's the lines that go up and down. So see how I have these spaces in between each? Okay, so this is my loom. I'm going to take my other paper, and this is going to be my weft. So this is going to be the lines that go in between these. And I'm going to cut them in strips. I just decided to color this so that it wasn't totally boring, and that way it would be easier for you to see the paper going through. Like if you have old wrapping paper at home, that could work too. And one more. Okay, so if you want to keep the pattern or the design that you had when you started on your paper, kind of get your strips in order. All right, and the way we're going to start, we want to kind of think of all of these pieces and wherever these cuts are as like a spot where we have to change our direction. So if I'm going to start with this strip, I'm going to start at this part. This is my edge, all right? So this is my starting line. And I'm going to go over this strip. And when I get to this cut, then I need to go under that one. Over this one, I cut and I go under that one. Over and then under and then over. And when you're done, you're going to kind of push it to the edge of where those cuts are. So then the next strip, when I put this in, I want to do the opposite of the other one. So see how this one, I went over this strip, and you know I went over because you can see it. If I go under, you don't see it. So that's how you know if you're doing it right. So this time I want to start by going over this or going under this. I hope you said under because then you'd be right. So I go under, and then I have a cut. So I'm going to change it. So last time I went under, so this time I'm going to go over it. under, over, under, and over, and under. And then push that to meet the other one. See how it's starting to look? You can make a checkerboard and make checker pieces. And oh, there's my dog's nose. Play checkers with your family. Sit down. You sit. 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 See, it's art and dog training. Sit. Sit. There. So this next one. I went over and then I went under. So now I need to go over again. So some trouble that you might run into is sometimes when you're working with the paper, it might rip. That's what tape's for, or, don't worry about it. Just go slow. The other thing that I notice a lot when kids do this in the classroom is they'll start working and they'll just kind of be like, oh, this is really easy. And they just put their paper through. And if you look at it this way, see how this paper can slide on top of that one and hide it? And you can see how I didn't change what I did each time I got to the cut. That's a good way to know that you did it wrong. So if this can move here, that means you did it wrong. You got to back it up and start again. When you do it right, you should be able to kind of push this piece up against that one and they kind of lock together. So I was saying you could use other materials. So I grabbed some ribbon, under, over, same thing. It might even be easier to kind of do this with some ribbon. Maybe you have it left over from presents or something like that, or your hair, because that works a little easier. There's another string. Shoelaces could work. You could start from the other side too. All right, so see what you can weave.